Today we're building a Python script that finds duplicate files in a folder. This is a real automation problem and we'll solve it by comparing file content instead of file names. We'll build the tool step by step and focus on writing practical, readable Python code that you can reuse in your own projects. Let's start off with the helpers file. So helpers.py. We will create some functions in here to help us with getting the file content and the file size. And let's start off with our imports. So we will import the OS module. We will also import the hash lib module. And from collections, we will import the default dict. Now, the first function we're going to need is a function to get the file hash. Now, we're going to be using a hash for a file based on its contents because it will always give us the same hash. And then by comparing the two hashes, we can see if the two files are the same or not, even if they don't have the same file name. So get file hash. We will take a file path. And the first thing is we're going to be using a hasher. We will be using an MD5 hash object to compute the file hash. So hash lib dot MD5 like this. Under that, we're going to be using a try except block. So let's open the file with open, the file path. And we will be using the RB text mode or open text mode because we will read the file in binary mode. That will allow us, of course, to handle all file types. And we'll make it as a file, of course. We'll store that in the file variable. Under that, we're going to be using a while loop. While chunk equals file.read. We're going to be reading 8 kilobytes chunks of each file. So 8192. Now we will update the hasher with the chunk. Lastly, we'll return the hasher. Sorry, let's just put it outside the with. Hasher dot hex digest like this. Now, except exception, we will return none. Okay. So if we have any errors, we should not return anything. The second function is a function that will help us to get the file size. So get file size. We will also be taking a file path here. Let's start with a try block. Size equals to os.path.getSize for the file path. And for unit in, this is actually what we're going to be doing right now, is converting bytes to appropriate units. So like bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, or gigabytes. So for unit in B, KB, MB, and GB. Okay. If size is less than 24.0, we've found the right unit. Okay, so we'll return an F string with the size for 2F for 2 digits after the point. And we will use the unit Otherwise, we will divide the size by 1024.0. Dividing it will convert to the next larger unit. Okay. Outside the for loop, we're going to return another f string saying size point to f and then tb, because if we didn't find our correct unit for the file size in these units, then it means that we are in the terabytes, which is going to be the default case. Of course, we need an except. We'll return unknown, okay, for the file size. The last function we're going to need in the helpers is a function to find the duplicates. So find duplicates. We will be taking a file path and an optional progress callback that is going to be none by default. Now we will use the default dict to automatically create lists for new hash values. So hash groups equals the default dict of a list. Okay. Next up, let's define the total files count, 0, and then the processed files is also 0. Now we will count the files first. So let's say for root underscore and files in os.walk. We will be walking through all the directories and the subdirectories in this folder path. Sorry, it should be a folder path in here, not a file path. My mistake. And then we will just say total files plus equals the length of the files. We will add another for loop in here, which is going to be the same, but this time we will be walking through all the directories and the subdirectories again to process the files. So os.walk, folder path, a for loop for each file. So file name in files. We'll get the file path that is going to be equal to os.path.join, the root, and the file name. We will now add processed files by 1, increase it by 1. And then, well, we need to check if we have the progress callback. Because if we do, we should call it and pass in the processed files count and total files. This will help us in knowing how much files or how many files have we processed so far, and to show a progress bar. You'll see that in a few minutes. Now we should get the file hash, and let's just use the get file hash function we just defined, and we'll use the file path. If the file hash is not none, then we should add it to the hash groups. We should add it as a we should add a key using the file hash itself to the hash groups, and then we will append the file path for that key. Now, after all the for loops and outside everything, we will return only the groups with duplicates. So the ones that have more than one file in the hash groups. So we will be building a dictionary. Let's call it duplicates. Let's use a for loop in here as well. Hash value and files. These are two variables. For hash value and files in the hash groups dot items. But that's only if the length of the files is more than 1. At the end, we will return the duplicates dictionary. Okay? We are done with the helpers. We should go now to the main file. So let's create it, main.py. We will import some stuff in here as well. So import OS, import tkinter as tk. And then from the tkinter library, we will import the file dialog, the message box, and the TDK. We will now import some functions we defined from the helpers. So from helpers, we'll import the find duplicates, of course, and the get file size. Lastly, from datetime, we will import datetime. This is going to help us to format the dates. Now, let's write a function to help us to write the results to a file. Okay, so after finishing everything, we will write the results to a file just to show the user where are the duplicates and what their paths are. So define write results to file. We will take the duplicates dictionary and the output file name, okay, or path. They both work. We will be opening the file, the output file, of course, as a W or in W mode because we want to write to it. And we should say the encoding is UTF-8 just to support different characters. And let's save it inside the F variable. The first check we're going to do is if not duplicates. If we don't have the dictionary or if it's null, then let's say if not write, no duplicates or no duplicate files found. Okay, let's add a new line and then we'll return. Outside the if we got past the if check, we will be start to creating the total or the groups or the total number of duplicate groups. So total groups equals the length of the duplicates dictionary. Under that, we will say total files equals the sum of the length of files for each files in the duplicates dictionary dot values this time and not items. And just another thing, helpful thing we're going to do is total wasted space equals to 0. Now we'll start writing some information. The first thing we're going to write is the f.write, just an equal sign to make it as a divider. And we'll write 81s of this. And let's just add a new line under it as well. Now we'll also write a message saying duplicate files report. Now another message. You know what? Let's just copy it because it's the same one as this one. f.write. Now generated. We'll use the date time. It should be an f string as well. Just use date time dot now dot string format. I'm going to be using this format to format the date time string. So percentage y dash percent m, small m, dash percent d space percent capital H colon percent capital M colon percent capital S. And at the end, of course, we should add a /n. Now we will also write another f string. Let's add a new line. Then we're going to say found total groups, the number of total groups, duplicate group, like this, with total files, okay? /n/n. Now we should iterate through each duplicate group with its hash value. So let's say for group item and hash value and files in enumerate the duplicates dictionary items. Okay. Now let's get the file size. os.path.getSize for the files at the first index. And then let's just calculate the wasted space equals the file size times the length of the files minus 1. Because it's a duplicate file, we just get the first one's size and then we multiply it by the number of files that are the same. Next, we will add this group's wasted space to the total. So total wasted space plus equals the wasted space. Now let's write in a dash times 80 as well, plus a new line. Let's write an f string saying group, of course the group num. It's called group item here. Let me call it group num because it's the number of the group. So group num. Now we'll get the length of the files. And let's say duplicate files. This should be outside, I'm sorry, like this. And now in here, we'll get the file size for the files at the first index. And we'll say each. So for instance, we'll say group number 1 has 10 duplicate files. Each one of them is 1 megabyte. Okay. Now also, we need to write, let me write this divider as well. Next, let's add a for loop. Let's call this IDX as an index and a file path. Enumerate the files and one as well. f.write f-string, let's say space index, and then the file path, and a new line. Outside the for loop, let's write just a new line. Okay. Now, outside this for loop, wasted display. Now let's make it like this, inside equals to total wasted space, and we will be getting the unit as well. We can copy it actually from there, from the helpers function, because it's probably the same one. So let's do it. For unit in the same if wasted space display, let's do this and this one in here as well. But of course, this time we're not going to return. In here we'll be saying the wasted str is going to be equal to the wasted display with the unit, and then we'll break. And of course, we will now be dividing it by 1024. Instead of returning, we will just say else, and we'll just say the wasted str is equal to this. Okay. Next, f.write, another one for like this, but it's going to be the equal sign. Then f.write potential space savings is the wasted, let me make it an f string, str, like this, with a new line. And then let's just take this one again here. It's a long function, I know, but we're almost done. The next function we're going to work on is to create the progress dialog. So define create progress dialog. We'll take the folder path as well. We'll start off with a progress window that is coming from the tkinter, so tk. We'll get the progress window title and make it scanning for duplicates. Then a progress window dot geometry. We'll make it 450 by 150. And we're just going to make it resizable false and false, so on both axes. Now progress window dot attributes will make the window appear on top of all other windows. So we will say minus topmost and then true. Now we will center the dialog on the screen. So progress window dot update idle tasks. We'll say x is equal to the progress window dot w info screen width, info screen width. divided by 2 as an integer minus 450, yeah, also divided by 2. Now we'll do the same thing for the y, but of course it's going to be 150, and then screen height, and we'll call it y. Now, progress window dot geometry is going to be an f string 450 by 150 plus x plus y. This will center the progress window. Now we should create the main frame. So frame equals ttk dot frame. We'll bind the progress window and just add some padding of 20. Let me make it a little bigger maybe for you to see. Now we'll use a pack frame dot pack fill tk dot both expand to true. Now let's create the display path equals to folder path if the length of the folder path is less than or equal to 50, else we'll just display dots plus the folder path minus 47, okay, from the end. Then folder label is ttk.label. We'll bind the frame, and let's just say the text is scanning the display path of the folder, okay? Lastly, folder label.pack pad y. Let's make it 0 and 10 like this. Now the status label is going to be something similar. So label, we'll bind it to the frame itself as well. And we'll say the text is initializing. ... We'll also pack it. So pack pad y is also going to be 0, 10. The progress bar, we'll create a progress bar right now, equals ttk, the progress bar, the frame, and the mode is determinate. So determinate. The length is 400. The maximum is, of course, maximum is 100. Then progress bar dot pack. Progress window dot the iconify, and then progress window dot lift, and then we'll just focus on the progress window. So focus force. Lastly, progress window dot update idle tasks, and then progress window dot update. Now we will return the progress window, the status label, and the progress bar. Now for the fun part, where we create or define the main function. So define main. We'll create a root window from the TK library itself. We will hide the main window, so root.withdraw. We will get the folder path from a file dialog, so folder path equals file dialog dot ask directory. Title is select folder to scan for duplicates. If we don't have a folder, we'll show a message box saying it's not an error, it's going to be an info saying cancelled, no folder selected, exiting. And then root.destroy, destroy, like this, and we'll just return. If we get past this check, then we do have a folder. So we need to validate that the selected path is actually a directory. So if not, os.path.isDir, which means is a directory. We should pass in the folder path. We will also show a message box, same thing in here, showing error, and we'll just say invalid folder path, destroy, and return. Now let's create the progress window, and the status label and the progress bar. We'll extract these from the create progress dialog with the folder path. We will say progress window dot update idle tasks and progress window dot update, because we want to ensure the progress window is fully displayed before starting the scan, and then we'll force the window to be visible and process all pending events. We will now create a callback for the progress. We'll define a function called show progress. We'll take the current and the total. If total is more than 0, then the percent is going to be the current divided by total multiplied by 100. Then we will update the progress bar value. So progress bar value is going to be equal to the percent, and of course the status label data config. The text of it will be an F string saying processing the current divided by total, or out of the total, files, and we'll just show the percentage in here. So percent dot 1f like this, and then we'll just say percent. Then we will update the progress window like this inside the show progress function itself. Now outside this, we'll get the duplicates like this, and we'll say find duplicates, and we'll pass in the folder path like this with a show progress callback. After that, we'll close the progress window. So we'll destroy, and then we'll update the root window. And let's just define an output file. So output file is, for instance, duplicates report.txt. We will now write results to file. We will pass in the duplicates and the output file. We'll get the total groups equals to the length of the duplicates. That's only if the duplicates is there, else it should be 0. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to show a message box that is an info dialog, and we'll say scan complete, found total groups, duplicate group, like this. And let's just add 2 lines in here and another f string, results saved to, and we'll just tell the user where the output file is. So we're going to say os.path.absolute_path, and then the output file. We'll get the absolute path of the output file. Now we will destroy the Tkinter window just to clean up everything. And we'll say if __name equals to __main, we'll call in the main function. And this is pretty much it for our automation tool. Let's now run it. We'll get this dialog. I'm going to choose this folder from the desktop here, the MISC one. Let me select it. And this is the progress dialog. We can see it's processing. And then the complete dialog, found 30 duplicate groups, results saved to this file. Okay. And then if we open up this text file, we'll see duplicate files report generated at this time, found 30 duplicate groups, and then these are the files in here. That's it for our automation tool in this video. You now have a working duplicate file finder that you can actually use and extend. If you like this video, please like, share, and comment. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.